Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well today. And this is my new zoo that I have actually been working on for the past 3 months. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right in. Also, I apologize if I sound kind of groggy. Kind of getting over a little bit of a cold. So, this is the sign that you would see as soon as you're driving up to the entrance to the zoo. It only took me a few minutes to do. So, keep going. And before we continue, I wanted to make some back roads for this zoo, just so it's a little bit more lively. But these roads don't go anywhere except just to the huge lake that I managed to make, which we will see in a bit. So we keep going down this road. And for all of you that don't know, I did not place all these trees individually. I just made a group and put them all into a big bunch, which, quite honestly, saves a lot of time. So, as we get to the parking lot, you can see that there's a parking lot for the buses that come here. And a little story about the bus parking lot. The buses will actually come every few hours to come drop off people from the nearby town. There's a couple towns nearby in this zoo. The one that's coming from this way is about maybe 30 minutes away. People would get on the buses and drive here if they don't want to take their car. And each bus would come up individually to the little parking part here for everyone to get off. Parking lot over here, which I got some cars off the workshop because I was too lazy to try and make my own because I'm not that artistic. Same over here. And once I finish this video, I will link all the pieces I got off the workshop so you all can enjoy everything that I made here. So then you come onto this little, plaza. People get out of their cars, come through here. And if you guys have watched any of my other Planet Zoo videos, I kind of copy this off of my a Rocky Mountain Zoo with just a few touch-ups. So, a little information kiosk here. Get your tickets. You have to use the restroom before you go in. Over here is pretty much the same. And if you notice up here, the takken. I was planning on to put them in here, but I changed my mind. But these guys are an Easter egg to my next zoo that I'm going to be working on, which I will, of course, make a video for all of you to enjoy. So, I should also add that the zoo also has two entrances. The one that we're walking through right now, and another one on the other side of the zoo, which we will get to in a bit. So, in some other YouTubers who do Planet Zoo videos, I know a lot of people don't use, put their staff buildings right next to places where people can see them. But I thought, like, this is the older part of the zoo where a lot of places need staff close by. So, yeah. This is one of the buildings that I was working on. I put everything on the outside, and all the building is all my creation. But if we go inside, you can see here, I got these pieces off the workshop, and this would be like a little bar for people to get a drink before they head out into the zoo, or after a long day of walking at the zoo and enjoying all the animals, get herself a drink. People would come here and sit at the bar. And then if they want to spend time at the restaurant, they could come spend some time here, have some drinks, food, whatever you wish. Also, this is a wallpaper that I got off of Google, and I put on a nice picture of the Alpine mountains. That was pretty nice. Come out here, and this is the small animal house, which is kind of lackluster and small, but I worked with what I got. You got all the little critters in here that you can find all over Europe. And if you can see in the back there, there's one of the first animals you can see. So, come over here, and there's two ways you can actually see the European bison. This is, again, another one of my creations that I made. Got a picture off of Google, and just used the website to make it, and this is what I got. You'll find a lot of my own wallpaper information signs as we go along through the zoo. So we'll come over here, we'll see another view of the bison. Like in every zoo. They're all sleeping. Hopefully they're sleeping. And I should actually add that I originally was going to have this zoo be dedicated to only the animals that you could find in the Alps. But we're kind of lacklustering any of those animals that you can find in Europe. So I decided to combine all the animals that you would find in Central to the Northern Europe that you would find. So there's two ways we can go here, but I'm going to show you guys how I made this little pond, which was just going to be like a little scenery area, but I thought, hey, we got the mute swans, so why not make a little habitat for them? Yeah, I really should have released some of them to the wild, but I thought, why not have a big flock of swans? So we come over here, and I can't stress enough how hard it was to get these paths to merge. Boy, was it a pain. And over here, you would see, is the red fox habitat. I tried to use my own fences that I've created, but they were a little finicky and they didn't look very right, so I just went with a default fence, which I think actually made it work. So, in order to see all these wonderful little red foxes, we're gonna see if there's one in here. Oh, there's one. Here's the sound of the food. And all these rock formations and the waterfalls and whatnot, I wanted to really bring out so people can see how the waterfall be the centerpiece. So you climb up here. All the people would do is climb up here. A little bit of wanted to make a little bit of a dead forest here. I kind of, it's a bit of a character thought. Gives the forest some character with broken branches and stuff like that. So then, come through one of these tunnels. These are some mineshaft walls that I put together. Nothing in here except just a tunnel for people to walk through. Make it easier for people to walk around and get to other places in the zoo. And come around this corner, and you will come to one of the biggest habitats in the zoo, which essentially is pretty much the king or kings and queens of the zoo is the Alpine ibex. I originally was just going to have a small habitat on one side, but I decided to make a tunnel going from one side of this habitat to another, and this is just one half. And I thought, I need to make a nice mountain range for these wonderful species of goat, because I thought they were pretty awesome. So, gotta fix myself here. Coming through here, just walking. And we're going to come up to one of my favorite spots. Or one of. I got multiple favorite spots in this zoo. We got the European badger, which I'm surprised doesn't need all that much space. So I try to make something a little small, a little edge of the forest kind of deal for them. And actually, I think it came out pretty well. And this is one of my favorite areas. These little stalls I made myself. I wanted to make it look like a European market, like a winter market, sort of. You have like drinks, food, and everything. You come around all this corner here. And I kind of like this little thing here. I didn't make this table. It's a workshop area, workshop item. I decided to have like any of the staff that after like a break they come out here, they have a few drinks or have a smoke or whatever they wish to do. I also wanted to try and make an overgrown old tower, lookout tower. It's a little story about this. This zoo has actually been open for a couple hundred years, and it's been a wildlife park ever since it was open. And for all the people that lived on lived in the zoo, like some of the zookeepers and other workers, they would use this outpost to look at all the animals down in the valley that's here, which I thought was a nice little touch. So then, come down here, this little slope, and another one of the staff buildings, which comes with Jeep and a trailer that was got off the workshop. And what I had planned for this zoo is that all these roads are meant for vehicles to come up and down and deliver animals to their habitats. Because I think it's still kind of weird to have all the zookeepers carry these like 5-ton animals in a small box, and then as soon as they enter the zoo habitat, then whoosh, the boxes inflate or get bigger and the animals are released. Excuse me. This is one of customer areas where people can come and just relax, take a look at the nice view that's around. It's a little restaurant I call the Lookout. So you come in here. People like after a cold day or a nice long walk, people can come here and relax, sit by the fire, and get a drink or whatnot. And I also put like a couple ATMs in here for people if they want to go across the street and get a gift. Which I'm quite happy that Frontier was able to fix the gift shop, because quite honestly I think this is a pretty cool idea. So I'll take you for a quick look in here. I decided to put like the glacier wallpapers from the AQUATIC pack around just to make it look like a mountain or mountain range, that kind of stuff. So another thing about that's attached to this building is you could say it's a staff room or a records room for all the animals in the zoo. They keep track of every animal and every animal that comes and goes out of the zoo. So there's 2 entrances to this place. I know normally you don't see people on YouTube show the backstage areas, but I like to be different, so I'll take you guys through here. Oops, excuse me. And again, these are just some of the stuff that I got off the workshop. I'll be linking the items in the description when I finish this video. So, like I said, this is a record room. People will keep track of all the animals that come and go out of here. And if I can turn around here without getting finicky. You come through this little hallway, and there'd be a pair of doors that would take you up to the communication tower that's up the mountain. Now, I wanted to make this almost like there's a tunnel in the mountain that goes up to the tower above. I'll give you guys a quick look. Back out of here. So you would come up through these hills, up to the communication tower that controls and monitors everyone in the zoo. Which, I know kind of sounds kind of creepy, but you gotta make sure these animals don't escape or go anywhere outside of the bounds of the zoo. And again, this is the other half of the Alpine ibex, which I tried my best to make it very matte for them, because they like spending time on the hills. You go up here, it's just another lookout area for the ibex, so people can get a better look instead of just staying around here. And actually, before I forget, I'm going to take you guys over here to the other lookout area. And this is the first time I've actually ever used any of the transports in Planet Zoo, so I think I've done a pretty good job. You take the monorail over to the other side of the park so you don't have to walk all the way. Some just for convenience for people. Or if you want to get a nicer look of what's down below, you can take a look through these little telescopes. I got these off of Rudy. Thank you again, Rudy, for making excellent content and wonderful workshop items. So, there's 2 ways you can actually come down this part of the mountain. You can take this road that comes down to this road, which you can go through a tunnel, another mining tunnel, that comes through this side of the mountain under this lookout, which I'll show you guys in a bit. So, I'm going to take you guys to the other half, or the other entrance to the zoo, and then we will double back and go take a look on the other side of the mountain and all the other shenanigans that you all love. I also apologize for all the lag that you are probably having here. I've tried my best to make sure I don't end up making the game crash, because that would be disastrous, wouldn't it? So you would come down this ramp. Again, you can see here where I was really finicking with trying to get these paths to connect, but it was a royal pain. This also gave me a chance to really make a nice habitat for some red deer, which I really enjoyed making a habitat for. Really interesting making habitats for any ungulates or any species of deer. And I wanted to try and keep both species of deer in Europe together, or close in proximity. So on the right, you would have the red deer, and over here you have the fallow deer. Holy smoke, I didn't know I had so much. Holy, wow. But yeah, these two deer species, I wanted to try and make a habitat on the hillside. I think it came out pretty nice. And here you have like a flower patch for both the butterfly species that you can find in Europe. I was having a hard time trying to keep one species in the zoo alive, but they kept on sadly dying out. So I had to keep on repopulating them, which is okay with me. So this is the newer entrance to the zoo, and it's Main Street. Another gift shop which is filled with all sorts of workshop items. I think I've done pretty good with this. Because I made this during the time when there was the glitch or problem with the gift shop. So I decided to make something like this. Excuse me. Go back out of here. I also wanted to try and make this area almost like Switzerland. Downtown Switzerland in a bit. So you have like a Alpine bakery. Come through here. And in here you can get like coffee or other pastries. Get some milkshakes if you want. This took me a while to build because of this. Trying to get everything to work and all the pathing in here, it was a royal pain. So people, after they get like a pastry or a little donut, they come sit out here, spend some time with their families or by themselves. Which the zoo is open all year round and any time of the day, so people are allowed to come here and get a coffee or whatnot, even if they don't want to see any of the animals. Another restaurant. Come here and get some coffee if you want. Sells all sorts of coffee. You come over here, you want to go to the restaurant, you spend some time in here. I took the same idea that I did in the old entrance, and I just wanted to make it look nice. Come back through here. And again, another staff building that connected to the other buildings. And also this was the first time I tried to make like an outdoor entrance so people can get through. I had a hard time trying to make a design for this. And a little thing I should tell you guys, I don't plan this all out on like a piece of paper or anything. I just do it all mentally and I do it in my mind's eye. Now, before I continue going through the rest of the zoo, I'm going to take you outside of the zoo and show you what I've been working on this past couple of weeks. So, this is another parking lot for people on this side of the mountain. Come park here on the edge of the forest. Now, this is my first attempt on trying to make like a small town. There's nothing in these buildings except for one, which we're going to get to in a moment. I try to make a crosswalk for people or pedestrians so they can come spend some time out here, look around, and do all sorts of things. This would be downtown and all sorts of buildings. And you come through here for people who want to spend time at the beach, which I do have a beachfront for all the pedestrians. Most of these buildings in here are of my design, including the cooler. If you guys want this cooler or refrigerator, I'll gladly put it onto the workshop for you all to enjoy. But I should warn you, it's super bright. So I try to make this into a non-functional gift shop like the others, where people can come and buy a little souvenir before they go home. If you want a surfboard onto this wonderful, wonderful lake that I created, and after so many little nicks and tweaks I had to do to try and get it to work, that also was a pain. And if you come over here, it's just a restaurant for people to eat at. That's not in the zoo, then people can watch as boats go by, other stuff like that. So then, just keep walking down the street. Again, all these buildings are for a different purpose and all do other things. I tried to come up with a backstory for this town, but I couldn't think of one. So, this would be like a boardwalk. People would come over here, look out onto the ocean, which, yes, it is an ocean, because I wanted it to be on the edges of the Baltic Sea, which is where this zoo is located. So every bit of water here, it would go out even further out onto this map, but sadly it looks kind of square, so it looks kind of, yeah. So then I also wanted to get very finicky with trying to have like pedestrians come sit on the beach. They can go swimming here and whatnot. Have a lookout tower for sharks or any other marine life. So then continue here. Come down this road. This would be another way for cars and people to come to the zoo, and they travel through the town. Come through here, and it'd be a back area for staff or any people. Now, let me zoom out here for a moment. I want to tell you guys a story about this building. I had such a hard time trying to make this, trying to get all the pieces to work and everything, making different groups and everything. This was hard. So yeah, more buildings that you would find. These traffic lights are another workshop item. Another place where people can drive in from town. Then also over here. And if people want to go straight to the zoo, they come through this area and they park in either one of these parking lots. So now we're going to head back into the zoo, and I'm going to take you throughout the rest of the zoo here. It's getting a little laggy here, so please bear with me. Because this actually is one of the biggest zoos I've actually, to date, the biggest zoo I've built to date. So, probably the next zoo that I'm going to be building which I'm going to surprise you all when I finally do a video. If you remember from the others' entrance, there was a little Easter egg on what certain animals I'm actually going to be possibly putting in my next project. So, coming down the street, all my employees walk around delivering animals. I'll show you guys the other tunnel when we're done on this side here. So, come over the bridge, where also staff trucks and other vehicles will drive off and come up to. But down here, you got the Eurasian lynx, which I also had a fun time trying to make a habitat for. They got like a little pond, and in the back, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is a hollow log that I created and placed. And I got the idea off of ZHH Plays. I didn't take that off of the workshop. I built this myself. I apologize if you guys can hear my dog barking in the background. He's a very hyper puppy dog. And this is one of the bathrooms that people can climb up of. I wanted to have it a little bit off to the side, a little out of eye's view. Then come up to the pier, which I had a great time making all this. This was so much fun to build, because I always wanted to try and make a pier or a dock for people and pedestrians to enjoy and watch all the animals in the water, which I'm going to get to. And this is another gift shop filled with other workshop items with a mixture of defaults. But the thing about this gift shop is it actually sells liquor. So you can buy yourself a bottle of wine or whiskey or anything before you go home. And the way I actually made this, it also connects to the restaurant, which I also had another fun time building. This was probably one of my favorite parts to actually make. So then, like, people come and sit here, enjoy the food, or they could come over here and spend some more time at the bar. This restaurant is also not just for pedestrians, but also any fishermen or staff from the fishing industry, which is just outside. They can come and have a drink after work. So we back out here, go out this door, and you'll see one of our many aquatic animals that you can find here in the harbor. One of the gray seals. You can see these gray seals all over in the small area of the pier here, or you can find them over here on the beach side where they actually live. So this, I started using other techniques that I noticed that Rudy and the lead designer have also used, of using pillars on the edges and corners of their buildings to make it look nicer and pop out more. I'm just starting to use that technique, but that technique will only be saved for like aquatic buildings such as like this. For my next zoo, I am still contemplating if I will still use that technique. So this is one of the fisheries, and the other staff buildings that you come through here. 2 entrances to the fishery. animal transport. And this is a staff housing for all the people and staff that come into the zoo and work here. They can stay overnight and watch any of the animals in anywhere in the zoo, including the seals. And it also does ocean research. So, just this area, it's only meant for staff to come through only, just so it don't have people and pedestrians going past these buildings, because I thought that'd just be weird. Then you come over here if you want to see the gray seals. This time I made a little beachfront for them. And I also wanted to try and block it off from the pedestrians so they don't disturb the seals. Now, this building right here, the warehouse, I had a hell of a time trying to work because it kept on lagging and all sorts of things. So eventually I actually had to delete a few items because I thought it was going to make my game crash. So I tried to play it safe. So I'm going to show you guys what I did in here. Also, by the way, this is a door I got off of the workshop. Again, I'll post it in the links in the description. And these are just a few things that I put together. I found off the workshop, and a few other random assortment of things I put together with this. And you have some other backup storage here for staff vehicles. You come over here if you want to keep track of all the stuff that comes from like North America or China. Monitor any supplies for the zoo. You come through here, the little office, and it literally is an office. Again, it's just like the record room on the other side of the zoo. This is to make sure and keep track of everything that comes in and out of this warehouse. Then you come through here. This part of the pier is designated for the fishermen only. I tried my best to make my own boats, but I ended up coming out looking like a 3-year-old made it. So I decided to go off the workshop. And I actually really like these boats. So then we come back over here. Come over here. Got a few tugboats. And the ferry for guests to arrive in if they come through by boat. And this is one of the research boats that go out onto the ocean and study any animal wildlife or any type of fish that is in this bay. You come to the end here, it's just a lighthouse, which is the default one that you can get from Planet Zoo. Another emergency vehicle if anyone has a shipwreck or is in distress. Then we're going to back over here and we're going to head up to this side of the mountain. There's the Eurasian lynx again. This is the European timber wolf. This habitat I actually had fun doing. All the wolves in here, I made like a hilly area, which if you're coming out on the monorail, you would actually be able to see the wolves as they're running around and being playful like any dog would be. So, coming back over here for a bit. There's another habitat over here, but I'll show you when we come back down that way, because there's a ramp for vehicles to come up, and they come up to another staff building that's up here. So guests to come up this ramp or this road where they also can, if they have enough strength and energy, they can walk down the mountain and they can head back down into the zoo to see more animals, or they can head across and go all the way to the other side of the mountain, which we saw just earlier. Now we can go two ways here. We're going to go this way. Another restaurant that I made and put together. I wanted to have something that was overlooking like a pond or like a lagoon and have a waterfall flowing down from the mountain. Crystal clear water. Let's go through here. And I made a little habitat for a family of wolverines, which I think I've done a pretty good job with. Another staff building. And the great thing about this staff building, we're going to come through here. Excuse me. It's also a helipad. A little story about this area. This is for any animals that are on the other side of the zoo or the wildlife park, whatever you want to call it. If they get sick or need to be transported to one of the hospitals or the vets, this is one of the biggest buildings that has a huge veterinarian area. So this helicopter would pick up any of the animals, like, say, the European bison. Pick them up and carry them over here so they can be taken care of and then brought back over to their habitat. So then we continue here. Come up here if you want to go to the restaurant. This also overlooks the rest of the zoo, so you can get a nice view of the zoo and all its surroundings. And this habitat is the Eurasian brown bear, which we sadly don't have in-game yet. And I don't know if we ever will get it, because judging from what I'm seeing and what Frontier's saying, we only might be getting one more pack. Maybe possibly after the console release. So I just substituted the grizzly bear for the Eurasian brown bear, which in reality their physiology is kind of the same, so I just use the grizzly bears instead as a substitute. Now we come over to another one of my favorite habitats, because I wanted to really use the environment. Because all these mountains I made, it took me forever to make. So I done my best to not modify any of the mountains any further and just worked with the elements and the environment. So these are the wild boars, and they got a nice little pond here for them to drink, and I got a few mud holes here for them to wallow in. They're pretty happy, the little piggies. And you would come over here if you want to get a better look. And of course, this is where people would hear like I call it the piglet talk. And they can also watch as the wild boars eat and enjoy life. And actually, that is actually a good point that I should bring up. All the animals in this zoo are all rescues. All the animals have been rescued or rescued from poachers or rescued from the pet trade or need a new home because either they're too big or etc. So that is what this whole zoo is practically made of. Any animals that have been rescued, and hopefully they can have a second chance here in this wildlife park. which is what I always try to do for all my zoos, which is, if you watch all my Planet Zoo videos, you'll notice that they're not like all traditional zoos. They're more like wildlife sanctuaries, which are more huge and more open spaces for all the animals to act like they would in the wild, which is what I really try to do for all my animals in my zoos. Because if any of you know me, and you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll all know that I'm an animal lover. And I care deeply for all my animals that I make in the zoo, and I make sure they have enough space, and they have enough place to roam around and enjoy life. And this is the other half of the Eurasian brown bear, which I guess they are either in the cave or they're roaming around somewhere up in the bush line up above. So, well, yeah. This is just one of the rivers that merges with the ocean eventually. I was going to have moose up and down this river area, but I thought, okay, I got to really think, like, do I have enough time? Do I have enough space to do it? So I sadly skipped out on the reindeer and the moose, which I don't think is too much of a problem. So, yeah, this is pretty much the zoo. Everything here is pretty wacky, but it's actually been a great pleasure to actually really work on this, and it's probably one of my favorite zoos to actually work on. I've always wanted to, ever since the Eurasian pack came out, I've wanted to make a European pack for all the European animals. And actually, there is another little Easter egg for the zoo, but we're actually going to. Oh, I wonder where. Oh, they must have gone off the barrier, which I didn't use. I didn't use any other fences so they don't escape. I used the null barriers to have them look like they actually were already here in the zoo before the zoo was created. So you could say these are wild seals with maybe a couple of rescues. So, like I said before, this is supposed to mimic the ocean or the Baltic Sea. But, as you can see, I ran out of room in trying to create the ocean bigger. And you'll probably see a lot of these boats roaming, floating around on the ocean, catching fish for all the animals in the zoo and for guests. So, if you come over here, this is one of the little hidden areas that I actually enjoyed working on. This is like a lighthouse tower or a lookout tower to monitor weather patterns and whatnot. But the person that lives on this island is on this island 24/7, monitoring the area and the ocean. But, oops. No. Excuse me. Also, I got this off of the workshop. I can't remember the guy's name, but he done a recreation of the Orca from Jaws, and I thought this would be a cool little Easter egg. Thinking like, oh, there could be some sort of sharks in the Baltic Sea, and there was like maybe an attack, too many attacks, and then the Orca came from Martha's Vineyard all the way down to the Baltic Sea to come and track down this animal or whatever shark lives in the Baltic Sea. So, yeah, that is pretty much this zoo. do a little overhead view. I wanted to try and make this zoo a little bit better and have the habitats a little bit more widespread, so they're not like all clunched together. But I had a pretty awesome time trying to make this zoo. Work with the elements and work with the environment, and not. I may have cheated a bit and maybe modified it a bit just for water's sake or anything like that, but majority of the times I try to work with the environment, trying to make it look unique. And quite frankly, I think I've done a good job. I think the most fun I probably had was definitely making this zoo. And trying to make buildings that had no function or whatnot, but just scenery altogether was probably the top things that I wanted to work on this zoo. With not just the animals, but just backdrops and stuff like that. And I didn't just want to have like a one wall and then fake buildings just right there I wanted to actually make full looking buildings that look like they're functional. Excuse me. But yeah, this was pretty much a very fun zoo to make, and I can't wait to start working on my next project, which I hope you all will love. Because the next zoo I'm probably going to work on... Got you there, didn't I? I'm not going to spoil it. I want you guys to think about, if you remember and you watch it all the way to the end here, I want you guys to think what the next zoo possibly can be. If you remember what I showed you guys at the front there at the old entrance, there was some talking up on top of the ticket booths. That right there is a hint at my next zoo, which I pretty much probably gave it away. But yeah, this is the end of the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. And I hope to see you again soon. Have a good day. And don't forget, the great Sith Empire will always be with you. Skull.